Aloha. Today I wanted to add on to the last video and catch something that I wanted to address and expand upon, which were the dimensions and the artificial dimension that's been created that separates us from the depths of our connections to our past, because a lot of the storylines that are being told today are about like space and the stars and spaceships and aliens, extraterrestrials in the future, and all this information and lack of understanding in time and space and the nature of our existence, which has already been understood by the ancient peoples, like the ancient Kemites of Egypt, or Kemet, and the Mayan, the Aztecs, the Inca, the Hopi, and even further back before even Egypt, the Washita Moors, the mound builders that are in like in the North America, in the United States, in the Louisiana time frame. There's mounds that are precision built in that space, which I would highly recommend people look into, that are that predate the Egyptian pyramids and that have the same precision and alignments of the Egyptian pyramids. So look into the Washita Moors and check out that information and use that as another layer of understanding, like how far this whole this storyline goes and the connections of the peoples go, and how old this story is, because that's mainly my real point right now, is kind of understanding where not only the so-called future, but also understanding the past, because we get caught up in the layers of like what's going on right now. Like in this moment is like, oh, B.O.B. came out with talking about flat earth, and Tila Tequila's been talking about flat earth, and the Mandela effect is going on, how all this stuff fits together. Like, this stuff exists now, but it's not the first time this stuff has been existing. Like, there's when you boil it down to energy and relationships and connection and understanding storylines, and really go into seeing what's already been told, like what storylines have already been understood through these ancient like creation myths and mythologies that are already existing here, which is the reason why the university system exists in the first place, and the reason why these laws of gravity and motion and relativity get created, is to separate you from your own true power. So if we get separated from our past, then we get separated from our roots that are setting the foundation for our future. We also get separated from the information that gets that's part of us creating those roots. That's part of our soul storylines, our soul energies, our interdimensional stories that have already existed, that exist in our DNA, in the very makeup of our bodies right now, and our creations of today. So we get caught up in what's so-called been going on right now, then we are in a sense lowering ourselves, of lowering our true potential by thinking this is the way it is, when if we go a little bit further in understanding what has already been, we'll understand that this has already been before, and this is just another version of that storyline going on. And once we tap into the facts that this stuff has already existed, then we'll be able to see that we have a lot more power and potential to go beyond, what we are told to. Like, so if I mention Trump right now and how ridiculous, that storyline is in the mainstream, but that's like the mainstream thought right now, is a Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, which are all powerless states of being, of an enslaved mindset, to where we are begging people to own us, begging people to enslave your system, because that's what we've been told is um is our reality. But like, I wanted to go into my main point of our reality has been, we're living in like if that layer of consciousness is like an artificial dimension within a dimension. So if we live on the midworld, and there's an underworld and an overworld, like the upper world, so the heavens, and then the underworld, and then the midworld, we're the bridge, we're the living bridge in between, the density space in between that. So we live there energetically. Those exist in dimensions, and that's what I wanted to talk about before. About my friend was asking about like, so what are the planets and what are the stars, and like when I look up there I see this. So you can see the moon, you can see the sun, you can see the stars, you can see all these images of light, and those light images have a direct connection to your genetic makeup and your personality and the way you are. So you have you are an expression of the sun, you're an expression of the moon, you're an expression of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Pluto. You have those characteristics within you, and you're living and walking on the earth plane as all of these. And even like nature, earth energies, water, air, fire, you have all of these energies that you are existing as. And when we walk around thinking that we are powerless and are trying to be enslaved by engaging in our energy within like the current system that is totally void of those spiritual and interdimensional connections of ourselves, then we're separating ourselves from a lot more than just what we call the ideas of freedom, or what we call the ideas of knowingness or whatever. It's on a soul level, just like the sole of your baby feet gets stamped on a birth certificate, which is a catalog UPC number that is getting your slave number, your social security number, slave number. All this stuff is directly linked into your soul expression. And the artificial dimension that creates that has to go as far as disconnecting you from even the visualization of the place in which you live. So if they tell you it's a ball and you believe it for generations, you tell your kids for generations that it's a ball, then you're not only enslaving their conscious state of being, you're enslaving their subconscious state of being, which is why a lot of people don't dream anymore, because they replace it with the American dream. Which is why we can't do a lot of things that we used to be able to do, is because we've been caught up in like the magic of science and the magic of like gravity. Like, what if everybody on the planet all of a sudden really understood like the invention of the something, making something so simple so complicated by creating the idea of gravity and the laws of motion, and creating these like artificial demigods of this artificial styrofoam microwave world, like Einstein and Newton, Copernicus, and like today Neil deGrasse Tyson and the Cosmos, and they're literally creating your creation myth by telling you it's a big bang, and telling you that dinosaurs exist, and telling you all this. They're creating your space. And then this can go into the Mandela effect of, if they're creating for you, what kind of power do you actually have right now that you can create for yourself? So they're creating your reality. What could you, as a person, an individual, a family, a culture, a collective on an entire earth plane, what could that do in regards to creating its reality. So if they can change like Sex in the City to Sex and the City, and interview with a vampire to interview with the vampire, like stupid shit like that, like what what could we be adjusting by actively tuning into the energies of the natural planes, and not really giving a shit about like whether Darth Vader said, Luke, I am your father, or no, I am your like all this shit is just like distractions from the true point of the matter, which is creating your reality. The energies that exist within you creating your reality, being aware of your reality, and engaging within your reality, and how the dimensions exist and the energies exist in that space. Like what it means to be disconnected from your natural connections, your culture, what it means to be disconnected from the understandings of duality, what it means to be disconnected from the divine feminine and the divine masculine, because they've been destroying each other for so long within a patriarchal system that has had to be in order to create the first wedge within the system of control. So this artificial dimension that gets created is not only existing on like a political Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton slave state. It's and Bernie Sanders too. This is all slave state mentality. No one person, no Bernie. If you look at all the presidents, all that stuff, they're already chosen. Not to mention the fact that no one person is gonna go in there and save everybody with any kind of bullshit. Like giving you $15. That's just buying slaves right there. $15, healthcare, college. They're telling you lies. So you're like, even the Bernie Sanders people are asking to, to be lied to. Be nicer with your lies. Like, be nice to me when you lie to me. That's what the Bernie Sanders stuff is all about. And then Trump is out there to give the impression of what it could be. Like it's all bad. Anyway, I don't even want to go off on that. So the Mandela effect in itself is part of our connections to dimensions and creating our reality. The earth plane and understanding that this place is not a globe disassembles the university system, the artificial demigods, the artificial creation myth of the Big Bang and dinosaurs and all that stuff. It all just gets thrown out of the window. So it's really up to us and it's always been up to us, to find out what this stuff is truly. And we have to humble ourselves to know that there have been people before us that have already understood this. So you have the Aztec, the Maya, the Inca, the Kemites, the Washita Moors. You have on just like one layer that already existed here and already have these stories. So what were they saying? And from what we know today and how we are today, how could we activate and engage within our reality on a deeper layer than we had before? Because a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, the Aztecs did all this sacrifice and all this stuff. Well, just what's happening today. You're getting sacrifices on the streets today. Police officers are sacrificing black people every day. Black and brown people all over the planet. The indigenous countries, the indigenous culture is being destroyed all over the planet today. So you're going to have your systems of understanding, and then you're going to have your systems of misunderstanding and not understanding, and all that relates to the level of consciousness engaged with time and what the timing of a collective itself. And right now, on the whole earth plane, people are realizing that, enough is enough. We don't need to be, there's no difference between like the sacrifice of the ancient times and the sacrifice that happens on the streets every day. So it's up to us to step outside of the fear and step into the knowingness of what already was, so we can see what is right now and see what will be based upon what we create. And I wanted to share this example of the Aztec creation, just a beginning part to show an example of the layers and the dimensions that I was wanting to get in the last video. And yeah, so, and the sound sucks, so but I'll go and explain it later. So
what you've done, my beautiful creation's gone, just bones. All that is left are bones, 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 and smoked turkeys, butterflies, and dogs. Dark spirit, you used my power against me. The people, the houses, the mountains, blown away, washed away. Nothing remains. And we were chosen to make an earth that stands in balance and a sun that moves. We have failed.
this is duality.
Maybe not. Let me think about this. You have the power of the day. I have the power of the night. If we let our differences be our allies, just think. Just imagine what we could create together. Imagine a time of flower and song, rattles and chords, jade and fine plumes, black and red ink. Imagine water and hills, eagles and jaguars filling the next creation. First we need to make an earth and a sky. But what can we use? The great Cayman will be the earth and the sky. Tezcatlipoca and Quetzalcoatl are making space for the sky.
They are dividing it into 13 levels.
There must be a moon and clouds in the first level and stars in the second.
The sun will cross the third.
The morning and evening star must live in the fourth and the rest of the planets in the fifth. The sixth and seventh will be green and blue, and in the eighth wind will scream like knives.
The lords will dwell in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and the 12th levels.
The highest level is the 13th, the level of knowledge, Homeyoka, the place of duality, Homo, the mother of creation, and the giver of life, our home.
So yeah. These stories have existed for a long time, and outside of just the bickering between round and flat, there's an energy and a spiritual connection and understanding of these stories, and the dimensional, the energetic, interdimensional and expressions of it. And I wanted to share, like, this is how I see it in my head, and I explain it to people when they ask. Is it's if we start looking at energy and dimensions instead of flat and round, or flat or spherical, then we'll be able to see more of what is, and activate more of what was and what is and what will be if we go into it. So I'll read this real quick. The lowest heaven was a place where the moon traveled. This is mexalore.co.uk. The 13 heavens and 9 underworlds. And it's I just wanted to read how this is set up. It's just an explanation of what the video was sharing at the same time. And this is, if you wanted to pause it and check it out, this is what I'm going to be reading right now. And just quick, it says the lowest heaven was a place where the moon traveled and from which the clouds were suspended. The second heaven was the place of stars, which divided the two large groups, the 400 stars of the north, Setson Mimiksoka Koa, and the 400 countless stars of the south, Senzon Hutsnaua. The heaven of the sun was the third region. Tonatiuh traveled over the heaven in his journey from the region of light to his home in the west. The fourth heaven was the place where the Venus could be seen. In the fifth heaven was the comets or smoking stars traveled. In the sixth and seventh, the celestial levels, only the colors in green and blue could be seen. According to another version, black and blue, the heavens of the day and night. The bold eighth heaven was apparently the place of storms, and three heavens above this, white, yellow, and red, were reserved as dwelling places for the gods. Most important of the 13 levels were the last two, which constituted Omeyokan, the dwelling place of the dual supreme deity, generator, and founder of the universe. So those two beings in the story that you were seeing in the video, that was the two creators, the supreme deity, the duality creator system, that put the that started, which is your expression, your duality expression on one level, living within the earth plane of it. So like in a dimension to where you are aware of Venus, you are aware of the sun, you're aware of the moon, you're aware of nature, spirits, dimensions, and you are aware of the underworld. And another example of how like downgrading of people with like the television and basic understandings like the science system and scientific system and cheap magic and artificial styrofoam microwave realities kind of downgrade us into like the animalistic expressions of ourselves when we're really divine beings. And you can control people when that happens like that and separate them from everything. So that's, I just kind of wanted to tie that into like the Mandela effect and creating your reality when you're a divine being, and then you give your power away. You're giving that energy and that conscious interaction, that spirit into, you're giving that energy away to, like, when you vote, that's what voting is. You're voting for a slave master on one level. On another level, you are voting as a powerless soul, a powerless spirit who needs to be controlled. And the only reason why we go into letting that happen is because we've been in a hopeless state of being for so long, and we don't know like where to go or what to do if we let go of the system that has been created for us, based upon artificial laws like gravity and relativity, motion, and the creation myth of dinosaurs and the Big Bang. All this stuff is basically our like microwave creation myth of today. And it's hard for people to let that go because that's who they are. People go to school, the institutionalization system, conditioning system for years and years, and then go get their like sacrifice and do all this stuff. Like that's just another layer of sacrificing. Like people are sacrificing their children on another layer of realizing this. When you become enveloped in this system and you make your kids do certain things, like when you give your kids away to a birth certificate and a stock number that on the birth certificate and that whole thing, that is sacrificing your children. So that is basically like the extreme levels on a spiritual level that was happening in the so-called savagery time frame that we're told, but it's really happening today. Sacrificing our children to a voting system, to a slave master system. And when you do that, your creation, your conscious energy is being destroyed or transferred over to another power. And it has to go as far as understanding your connection to your very surroundings. So yeah, I just really wanted to share that, and then also show these pictures real quick. This is a Navajo Cosmology, and just show like this is the Mayan cosmology. You got the underworld and the midworld, the pyramid, the sun and the moon, the upper world, and all the other the stars, and all these stories already exist, and we're told they don't exist anymore. We're told they're not important. We're told that these people are savages and don't know what was going on, and you're told that it's all about like sacrifice, cutting off heads and rolling that down the pyramid, all that stuff. That's what Hollywood wants to tell you, so you can ball that stuff up into the Christopher Columbus state of mind of savagery and believe the university system of being the most evolved beings and creatures. So we are, but if we're not activating that energy, then we are actually less evolved than even the idea of the savages that they were talking about, because the true savages were the colonists that came and destroyed and sickened everybody and installed war and separation, the glorification of that all into the system as the norm. And the storylines that exist of the upper worlds, of the 13 layers of the upper worlds and the 9 layers of the underworld, the tree of life and the earth plane existence. If we go into understanding what already was, then we'll be able to more clearly understand what is right now and what is to be. Because if we just get caught up in the reactionary space of, oh, this is happening and this is happening, and no, it's really the true power is within us to see ourselves in a different light, see ourselves energetically, understand dimensions, understand light, like the basics of light and dark and the dualistic nature, and how we are involved and actively creating our reality, like the flicker rate moments of the moment itself, the on and off space, the electric and magnetic charges of our expressions, like how all this exists within our power centers, and realize that it's not just about like movies and books changing or whatever. Like, it's a lot deeper than that. When we come at it from a interdimensional and from the power in ourselves, not giving the power away to like CERN or stuff like that. See that the true power, the power creators here are the people themselves, the consciousness itself, and how if that's manipulated to act and react a certain way, then that's where the power center is. That's where things are being adjusted. So stop looking at if we stop looking at the microwave affecting people in the house and start looking at the entire, like, where the energy of that microwave comes from, like where that microwave plugged into the wall, like where is that energy coming from, and then tap into that, and then things will fall into place more clearly on their own. So that's all I really wanted to go into. So Thank you for joining me. And until next time, peace, love, and harmony.